Today, we're diving into something that's on a lot of people's minds, using ancient herbal remedies to help manage modern type 2 diabetes. It's this massive, booming industry, but it also raises some really big questions. What does the science actually say? How do these herbs even work? And the big one, are they always safe? So, let's get right into it.
I bet you've seen products just like these, right? They're everywhere, online, in health food stores, and it makes sense. As more people are dealing with diabetes, they're naturally looking for other ways to support their health, and many are turning back to these plant-based remedies that have been trusted for centuries. But the real question is, what happens when these ancient traditions meet our modern prescription drugs?
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the scale of the problem we're facing today. Then we're going to peek inside the plant pharmacy to see how these herbs are supposed to work. After that, we'll check out the evidence from the lab, see what happens when these medicines collide, and finally, we'll weigh the all-important risks and rewards. So let's just set the scene here. We have this absolutely huge modern problem, diabetes, and it's causing a lot of people to look back at some very, very old solutions. Just look at this number. 415 million adults living with diabetes back in 2015. And the projections? They're staggering. We're on track for 642 million by 2040. That's not just a health statistic, that's a global crisis. And it's exactly why everyone, patients, doctors, scientists, is so motivated to explore every single option out there.
Okay, so we get the why. The need is obviously huge. Now let's get into the how. What's going on inside these plants? How are they supposed to help us get a handle on blood sugar?
So first up, we have this fascinating plant called Gymnema sylvester. Its nickname is the sugar destroyer, which is pretty cool, and it seems to have a few different ways of living up to that name. Its active compounds might act like a bouncer at the door of your gut, literally blocking some sugar from getting absorbed. But it doesn't stop there. It might also help your body cells get better at using the sugar that does make it into your system.
And then there's aloe vera. And yeah, it's for way more than just sunburns. Studies suggest it can actually help lower blood glucose, but it might also help with other related issues, like improving cholesterol levels, which can often be a problem for people with diabetes. Plus, it's packed with antioxidants, which could help fight off the cell damage that leads to some of the worst long-term complications.
All right, so those are the theories, and they sound pretty good. But what happens when we take these ideas from, traditional knowledge and actually test them in a lab? Let's look at what some of the preclinical studies in animals are telling us. Okay, now this is really interesting. We're looking at two graphs here from a study on diabetic rats. Now just focus on that red line. That's the untreated group. See that huge spike in both blood sugar and insulin after they were given glucose? Now look at the other lines. Those are the groups that got the Gymnema extract. It's a much, much smaller, more controlled response. It's a really clear visual of how this herb might help prevent those wild sugar spikes. And the evidence for aloe vera is also pretty compelling. In a different study, again with diabetic rats, the aloe extracts didn't just help with that oxidative stress we talked about. In this specific experiment, when it came to improving certain blood lipids, the plant extract actually performed better than a standard prescription drug, glibenclamide. Okay, so we've got promising theories and some pretty intriguing lab results. So far, so good, right? Well, here comes the twist. And honestly, this is the most important part of our whole discussion today. What happens when people start taking these ancient herbs at the same time as their modern, powerful prescription medications? This brings us to something called an herb-drug interaction. It sounds kind of technical, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's when the herb changes what the drug does in your body. It could make the drug stronger, it could make it weaker, or it could cause totally unexpected side effects. This is where the whole "it's natural" idea gets complicated. Scientists basically break these interactions into two main categories. The first is pharmacokinetic. You can think of this as the herb changing how your body handles the drug, like a traffic controller. Maybe it messes with how it's absorbed or how quickly it gets broken down. The other type is pharmacodynamic. This is where the herb changes the drug's actual effect on your body. So if both the herb and the drug lower blood sugar, taking them together could cause your levels to drop way too low. So this isn't just a what-if scenario. These interactions are real, and they've been documented. Let's look at some very specific examples with common diabetes meds that people take every single day. This table really lays it all out. See those top four? Aloe vera, garlic, ginseng, ginger. They can have what's called an additive effect.
Basically, they can boost the power of the drug they're taken with. Now, that could be a good thing. But then you get to the bottom row with gymnema and metformin. And here, it's conflicting. Some evidence suggests it might actually make it harder for your body to absorb and use the metformin. That's the risk and reward, right there on one chart.
And really, this quote from a major diabetes journal just nails it. Herb-drug interactions are a double-edged sword. On one side, you've got the potential benefit, the enhancement. But on the other, you have the very real risk of something going wrong, like your blood sugar dropping to a dangerously low level.
So if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. First, these herbs are not just harmless plants. They are biologically active. Second, and this is so important, natural does not mean safe, particularly when you're mixing it with prescription medicine. And finally, the most critical point of all, you have to tell your doctor about every single thing you are taking. Period. It's the only way to manage your health safely.
And that really leaves us with this huge question, doesn't it? People are not going to stop being interested in these therapies. So the real challenge for all of us, for patients, for doctors, for scientists, is to figure out how we can wisely and safely combine the best of both worlds, harnessing the power of these ancient remedies while managing the very modern risks. Thanks for joining me.
Don't just control diabetes. Start correcting it naturally today and begin your journey toward better sugar balance and a healthier life.